Islam Victor are 20 years old. This is Keith, and this is Kyle.
Okay, so what were your first thoughts when you suspected that you were pregnant?
I was terrified. I assumed that it was just a scare because I usually always think the worst and I always get paranoid. So I was like, maybe I'm just tripping. But I started having the signs, like I was having cramps, but there was no period. So I knew, as a nurse, I knew that was my body like preparing for the pregnancy. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. But then I assumed, like, it's a psychological thing. So the more I was thinking of it and dwelling on it, then the more my body was going to keep, giving me signs.
Okay. And Keith, what were your first thoughts when you suspected that Island was pregnant?
I didn't suspect anything. She just told me to
Okay.
go buy pregnancy tests. So at that point, I was pretty much nervous, I should say.
Okay.
He thought it was just a scare too, because he always think I'm being dramatic.
Okay. And what were your first thoughts when you found out that you were pregnant?
What am I going to tell my mom? I was like, oh my gosh. I thought I was ruined, I'm dead, and I am a disgrace to my family. And I thought it couldn't be wrong. I was in denial for like a couple hours.
Okay. Keith?
What was my first thought? I know I thought this is not good.
Okay, and go ahead.
That was pretty much it. I know I cried.
He was crying and contemplating on his life, like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do?
Okay, and how old were you?
I was 19 and he was 18.
Okay. Were you a student?
Was I a student then?
No.
No.
Okay.
I recently graduated from nursing school, so at that time I was just studying for my state exam for the nursing license. But as soon as we got that positive test, Keith said, you gotta take that test now. And so I took the test 2 days later.
Okay. And were you employed when you first found out?
No.
I wasn't.
Yeah, we weren't.
What did you consider to be the negative about being pregnant?
Definitely the hormones.
Keith?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a rough time because I wasn't even processing how I was feeling well, and everything was flying out the mouth. Like I was a little out there.
And what were the positives?
I would say bonding with the baby and having more, everyone was being very considerate towards me in regards to everything. So that was nice for a little while to have a little attention. And I was always getting free food. So.
Okay.
That
Keith?
was a big plus.
The positives of her being pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said bonded with the baby, because if you didn't say that, I would have known what to say.
That was a big thing. All that kicking and stuff.
How did your parents react?
My mom, she was, we sat down and I said, are you going to work today? And she was like, yes, I am. And I said, how long are you going to be out? And she's like, why, what happened? I said, I need to talk to you. And then she was like, wow, what happened? And she's just like me. We always think the worst. So she automatically assumed, you're pregnant? And I said, yeah. And then she's like, okay. And then she didn't say anything for a while. So we were just sitting in silence. And then she went to work. But I knew she was upset and probably was crying at the job. My dad, however, he was like, who's pregnant? How? What? And very upset. He was going crazy.
My mom cried.
Okay. Were they happy tears?
No.
No.
Because I told her that I was having a baby, and then she was just asking me from who and stuff like that. And then she was just like, we were outside sitting in front of my house, and then she just like started tearing up.
She know from who.
How did your friends respond?
My friends thought I was joking because sometimes I do like to play jokes, but I never played a joke in regards to pregnancy, but they just thought I was joking at first. And I was like, no. And then I sent them a picture of the test, and then they were the ones who referred me here. So,
Okay.
That's my question.
They were just like, okay.
Okay.
That's crazy, but okay.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, when I told them, they were just like, "It's gonna have a nephew."
Nephew? I don't know about that.
Did you consider abortion?
Yes, that was the first thought. Morally, I was never really I never really supported abortion unless it was in a case where it was rape or in a situation where you just didn't want the child and conception. I guess like probably within the first 12 hours, if it didn't happen, I would say take the pill. But I always was against it. But it's easy for that thought to come to your head when you're in that situation. So yeah, but I already knew that morally, if I did it, I would regret it for the rest of my life. And even my friends was like, knowing you, if you get an abortion, you're gonna regret it. And so. But my other friend also said, oh, if I were you, I'd get an abortion. So I was trying not to have an abortion, but I was also waiting for someone to say the right things to convince me to get an abortion, in a way, I guess.
Okay. Keith, what were your first thoughts?
I considered it.
Okay.
But then, knowing her, I figured that wouldn't really be the best route of action. So I decided to just stick through with it.
All right. Did you consider adoption?
No.
And who was the one that prompted you to come here?
My friend.
You have to say their name.
Okay.
And what services did you receive?
Well, we had confirmation for the pregnancy test. We had counseling, which was the big part into everything, with a lot of decision making and stuff. And we also had ultrasound. And this was the place where we confirmed his sex.
Mm-hmm. And have you been helped by this center? Oh, I'm sorry. How have you been helped by the center?
We were offered services in regards to education, and also we had a lot of counseling and advisement towards which route we would want to take, adoption or, and also we were educated of the stages of his growth. At like 7 weeks he'd be like this, at 8 he'd be like that, and so far and so forth. But mostly just education and counseling.
Keith, anything you want to add?
I mean, there was that time where there was that relationship part of it where it was in regards to people, marriages, and having children.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and also living together
Yeah.
without marriage.
Any advice for other young women who find themselves in an unplanned pregnancy?
I'm trying to find the best way to say it without sounding harsh.
I would say, if you are considering abortion because you're scared of other people's reactions or because you feel like you're not financially stable to take care of one, I would say don't do that, because everyone's going to be upset with the news, but when the baby's here, it changes everything, because babies are pure, they're innocent, they're like the closest thing to God that on earth that you'll ever get. They're like the closest thing. And also, as far as being financially stable, there's resources. We live in the best country in the world, so there's government programs, there's WIC and all those other programs. So, if you decide to get into that activity which causes, you know, babies, then you have to be ready for the consequences. Well, I wouldn't say consequence, the aftermath.
Okay.
In regards to abortion, if it's like if you're making a decision based on anybody else's opinion, then that's the wrong decision to make, because at the end of the day, like when you lay your head down to rest, you're gonna think about how your life is the same as it was before you had that baby, but it'll never be the same from after you had that abortion. So those people that convinced you to get that abortion, they're gonna go to bed, lay their head down, and not even think about what you're going through, but you're gonna be the one dealing with that. So
Kyle, you have anything to say? Say, I'm happy you didn't abort me.
Yes. All right, thank you guys.